Today we're going to learn how to create a reference plane, use the feature tool, and the hole tool. While learning these features, we'll be making a bracket to hold a flag that would mount on the side of a building. To start, we'll create a sketch on this plane. Next, I'll create a rectangle that's 5 by 2.5. This will be the base bracket that will actually go up against the wall. Now I'm going to create a construction line that I'll use later when creating my reference plane. And I'm going ahead and going to make this 2.5 inches above the top of our bracket. Now I'll go ahead and extrude this. I'm going to go ahead and flip the direction so it goes the other direction. And I'll extrude it a 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to go ahead and make my sketch visible again so I can use it when I'm creating my reference plane. Now going ahead and creating the reference plane, I'm going to use this angle to plane around edge. For this specific scenario, we'll rotate it around this construction line in reference to this plane. Now that I click on it, you can see that it is rotating or goes through that line and is currently 90 degrees away from that plane. So I'll change it to 45, but I want it to go the other way, so I'll flip it to -45. That way it's going in the direction that I want. Now I'll create a new sketch on my new plane. This will be the pipe that would actually hold the flag. My inner diameter I'm going to set as 1.25. And my outer diameter I'm going to set as 1.75. Go ahead and finish my sketch. And then I'll extrude, making sure just to get the pipe itself. And then I'm going to do 2 next. That way it goes down to the base of my bracket that I had already created. Now, using that reference plane, it made it nice and easy to create that extrusion down to the bracket at that angle. Just for visibility, I'm going to turn off my reference plane as well as my sketch. Now we're going to look at the fillet tool. I can click on it right here. So now you can change the radius and then select edges to put that fillet on. So in this case, I'm going to do the end of our pipe here. And just click the 2 edges. I'm going to leave it as 0.125 because that's the size that I need. And now we have a nice rounded edge to our pipe. Now we need to add some holes to our bracket so we can actually mount it. I'll be using the hole tool for that. But before we do that, we need to create a sketch. I'm going to do it on this face. And then we're going to actually create references for where those holes are going to go. So we're going to use point. And then we'll dimension it from each edge. In this case, we're going to do 0.5 from both edges. And then we're going to pattern this to make 4 holes throughout the bracket. Getting them evenly spaced to where they are 1/2 inch away from each edge of the bracket. I'll go ahead and finish this pattern. Now that we have our bolt pattern, we'll go ahead and finish the sketch. Then now we'll go into the hole tool. Since I already have a sketch pattern of points, it auto selects for me. So now going through the different types of holes, we can do a straight hole. We can do a clearance hole, where if you choose a specific size of bolt or screw, it will give enough clearance that that bolt or screw can slide through. We can do a tapped hole, where there'll actually be threads in it, where you just screw that bolt or screw into it. Or you can do the tapered. And then for the seat, you can do none, which is by default. You can do a counter bore, which would be deep enough for like the actual bolt head. And then you can do spot face, which would be more for just like a washer. And then there's counter sunk, which is what we're going to be using today. And that's where it's actually sunk down at an angle for machine screws that have a flat head on top and are angled. So then you can go down here and select the different size screw that you want. And then for this case, we're going to use a 1/4 inch. And then for the depth, you can choose a depth, but in this case, we want to go all the way through. So we'll just do the through all. Then we're going to click OK. And there is our finished part.